roll whenever you're ready. We'll just free flow into it.
We're rolling now. We were giving out some free advertisements a little bit earlier.
Missed it now.
Yeah, you gotta show them. You're showing them the label now. Yeah, show them what we're drinking.
Is that even in the shot?
There we go.
We're beautifully amateur.
Beautifully amateur.
Yeah, is this the part where you ask me my age?
How old are you? Any birth certificate, driver's license? I need to verify.
What was that? What was that? What was your favorite show growing up?
That is a tough one. Maybe Robin Big. I just got the best memories with Robin Big. As Robin Big came out, that's when I got into skateboarding. Mm-hmm. So it kind of, you saw Rob skating, then you saw the relationship they had, him and Big Black, R.I.P., rest in peace.
How'd he die?
Just being unhealthy. I think he had a heart attack, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, if you cut him, he would bleed jelly. You know what I mean? Like, he was a very unhealthy man. But, that was definitely my favorite show. Just a bunch of laughs, the skateboarding aspect. It was a great watch.
Yeah, and what was your favorite movie from childhood?
Favorite movie from childhood? Con Air. So
Con Air with Nicolas Cage?
Yeah. So we had it on VHS. We had that and Toy Story in my house. So you had to bounce between the two.
Those are the two movies you grew up watching. I was like, I'm going to watch Nicolas Cage save these inmates.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to watch this little wooden doll save these inmates. That's all toys really are, man.
Yeah, so an animated
they're just inmates.
Or a normal save the inmates. I'd have to go with the normal.
Okay.
And you know what's funny? I have not seen it in 10 years.
Con Air?
I
was not going to guess that was coming. That's incredible.
You a fan though?
Huh? I've seen them all. I think Nicolas Cage is one of the top 5 most underrated actors of all time. Let me hit you with this real quick. Con Air, National Treasure, National Treasure 2, National Treasure, Where's the Treasure? Gone in 60 Seconds. That one where he turns into a skeleton and turns on fire. The Rock, not to be confused with Dwayne The Rock Johnson, but the actual Rock with Sean Connery, R.I.P., even though he's not gone. And then that other movie where he's got hair like a bird and he can see the future. You can rewind the film, but that's at least 8 films right there.
They're highly underrated.
Mm-hmm. Who's your favorite actor of all time?
Oh, man.
It's not Robert De Niro, is it?
No.
Do you have a famous person that you can do it's not a reenactment, but an impression of? Yeah.
No.
No?
None of them. So I probably don't have a favorite actor. Because I can't impersonate him.
Yeah?
Yeah, who's your favorite actor?
This is my Robert De Niro if he was a football ref. Encroachment. That was pretty good, wasn't it?
8 out of 10.
Okay. Did it sound Italian?
Yeah. That's scale grading right there.
Yeah.
It was solid, though.
That was my nickname in college, scale grading. Yeah. I went to school with a scale Grady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah, his parents, when he was birthed, they walked out, first thing they saw was a little weight scale. And his last name was Grady, obviously. So.
They called him Scale Grady.
Scale Grady, yep.
Was he a beast?
He was 13 pounds, 4 ounces when he was born.
He's a monster.
Mm-hmm. His mom was 4'2".
Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Bless her soul.
Yeah, well, I guess.
She survived.
Yeah, I hope so. I don't really know. I never really met her. I just heard.
All right, buddy, you ready to get in this?
Yeah, what we got?
Ready to get into the gym topics?
Yeah, let's get into the gym topics. Topics.
A great question get brought up today.
Okay.
How much does mobility play into your strength?
How much does mobility play into your strength?
how much does it affect your strength? Can it hinder your strength?
Okay, mobility. How much?
Can it help your strength? Because obviously you could gain mobility, you could be getting more mobile, but maybe not gain strength, and vice versa. But how much does it play into your strength?
The reality of mobility. So first, think about. Okay, you tell me what you think mobility is.
My ability to be mobile. I'll play it. So, how efficiently you can get into certain positions, especially here, weightlifting positions, CrossFit positions, the squat, the snatch, the clean, different, your hollow rock positions. It kind of all plays into that.
Okay. Excuse me. Well, so mobility and flexibility are used interchangeably a lot, but they're actually a little bit different. Flexibility would be more, hey, I can just passively get into positions, right? Like you're not activating muscles to get into the position. Okay, so flexibility would be you're sitting on the ground and you reach down and grab your toes. That's flexibility. That's just straight up how long is your muscle. Okay.
Like the old school, middle school test?
Yeah. So most of what you think of old school is flexibility. Mobility is a little different. Mobility is, can I activate my muscles to get into a position? So you might have someone who is more mobile than they are flexible, which is possible. But more often you're going to have someone who's more flexible than they are mobile. Okay, so at least that's how I follow those two definitions so that they don't get so intertwined. Because my idea is, you have to have enough flexibility to get into a bottom squat, but it doesn't matter if you get into a bottom squat and you're completely loose. Okay, you have to have muscle activation, get into a bottom squat and be braced. I consider that mobility. Some people, you can lay them on their back and then you push their leg up, right? And they can only get to let's say they're laying on their back, you push their leg up, it gets to here, right? Can you see my arm?
Yes.
All right. And then you put it back down and this time you say, hey, brace your core like someone's going to punch you in the stomach, lock in your core really tight, and then bring your leg up and they can go to here. So that person's more mobile than they are flexible because they can bring their leg a lot further into that position. So the reality of how much does mobility affect how strong you can be is your mobility, you have to have basically enough to get into the positions in which you want to cultivate. So if you want to squat below parallel, you have to have enough mobility to squat below parallel. You don't really need more mobility than that. So that's where you can that's where the term hypermobile comes in. So you have people who are extremely flexible, they don't have, or they have a lot of laxity in their joints, okay? So they can get into the bottom squat real easy and just sit there. Like people who can just go into the bottom squat and just sit there and hang out on their joints for 10 minutes and it just doesn't faze them. Whereas you got someone else, they go into the bottom squat, everything just starts burning, okay? But you simply have to ask yourself, okay, what is it that I want to be able to do? I need to be mobile enough to do that. And the hierarchy of movements, let's just look at the squats, for instance. You take 3 squats. Let's even just take 4 squats. All right, everything's weighted. You got goblet squat where you're holding a kettlebell in front of you. Back squat where you got a bar on your back. Front squat where you got a bar in your front. And then overhead squat, you got the bar locked overhead. The goblet squat is going to be the easiest on your mobility because you're taking out your arms, so your arms aren't really playing a role in that position, okay? You're front weighting yourself, so you're actually loading in front of your body, which gives you a counterbalance so you can sit back in your heels more, all right? And then squat all the way down. So that makes it the easiest for people to squat down to, okay? That's actually really good for building mobility, is doing a lot of goblet squats. Then you would have back squats would be the next easiest, okay? Just because of the simplicity of the movement. It doesn't mean that back squats are necessarily an easier movement from a mobility standpoint. There's just less involved in terms of what needs to be mobile enough to get into the bottom of a squat, right? So you got back squat, which is bar on the back, okay? Then you'd have front squat, bars in the front. So now you gotta have your elbows up. You can't tilt forward. So you gotta have mobility in your shoulders to hold that position. You gotta have mobility in your hips to go down. And then obviously overhead squat, which you have a lot going on there. You got stability and control in your shoulders and your hips simultaneously. So mobility plays a role in the sense that if you are not mobile enough to get into the correct postures that it takes to do that lift, then mobility is a hindrance. But if you have enough mobility to get into that position, then you don't necessarily need more. You just need to maintain what you have. And so working strength in the positions that you have will make you more flexible, more mobile, right? That explains why like Olympic weightlifters are some of the more flexible people, or gymnasts are super flexible, right? Even though they're under intense loads, if you look at a gymnast, if they're doing something on the ring and they flip upside down the ring, it's all their body weight stabilized on rings. So that's a lot of weight, right? But they're some of the most flexible people because their joints are used to being worked in these long range of motions with weight, right? And that has a lot longer lasting effect than if you were to just sit on your butt and reach down and grab your feet, right? So flexibility is the most simple, right? It's easy to address. You just got to do it more often. Mobility is more built by doing the positions that you want to get better at, right? And then spending time in them. And then mobility only holds you back if you can't get into the correct positions that you got to get into.
Now, if you're just starting off and let's say you can't get in. So the other good question we had this week, how do you pace a workout? We got a lot of new members. Most of us, including me, we go out balls to the wall at first, and then we die.
Gross.
Like 2 minutes in, and then you're miserable for the rest of the workout. How do you pace the workout? I know it's such a broad question, but
yeah, that's that one comes with a bit of a cop-out answer, which it depends, because it depends on the workout really. So what you need to do when you look at a workout is do your best to identify, okay, first start with time. How much time are you going to be working for? Okay. Then take a look at the movements themselves. How are you at the individual parts of the workout? How are you personally? Like, how do you handle those movements? All right. And third, it's really how long and how are you at those movements? And then third is kind of like, how are those movements combined going to affect you, right? So if you got, and let's work our way back from that. So the third is, how are the movements combined and how will those affect your body, right? The simplest thing to think of is, are the movements working against each other or are they complementary, right? So
what do you mean by that?
Exactly. So you have a workout that would be, let's say, air squats and push-ups. Right? If you got a workout that's air squats and push-ups, well, air squats is pretty much all legs and a little bit of core activation. Okay, but pretty much everything should be core activation, really. And then you got push-ups, which is pretty much all upper body and core activation, right? So those two main muscle groups aren't competing against each other. Right? So that would have a totally different pace than if I said, hey, we're going to do air squats and bike, or air squats and row, or air squats and lunges. Right? It's going to be a little bit of a different pace because instead of, if I did 3 rounds of 30 reps of each, the air squats and push-ups is not going to affect one another movement. So I can keep a stronger pace going. But the second my legs get super tired in the air squats and lunge, I'm going to have to slow down my pace a lot because I'm doing two movements that are using the same muscle groups, right? So that would be the first thing. Identify how the movements are working with each other, right? Do they complement each other or do they work against each other, right?
So if it's legs and legs back to back, you probably go a little bit slower.
Right, because you want to plan out. You don't want to do, let's say you got something like absolutely dirty like thrusters and bike or thrusters and rowing. You're going to want to have some sort of idea or pace because you don't want to do, let's say it's like 21, 15, 9 of each, like 21 reps of each, 15 of each, 9 of each. You don't want to do 21 thrusters in a row if it means you're going to have to take 30 seconds to get on the rower and get going, just to use your legs again. So you want to break up the thrusters a little bit earlier, like maybe do like 7 at a time with small little breaks in between so that you can get right on the row and get going. All right? The next one was, how are you individually at the movements? So a lot of people, once they've done it for a little while, and it's good to kind of keep track of how certain movements make you feel, don't think so much about how individual movements make you feel. It's very valuable to know or take note of how certain movements make you feel. Don't take so much note of how certain workouts make you feel. All right? Take note of, okay, this movement tires me out. I've noticed more than other movements. Because everyone's going to have, whether you've done CrossFit for a while or not done CrossFit for a while, your past experiences are going to shape somewhat of how you feel with certain things. Right? And usually people will that'll manifest with people saying, oh, I really like this movement, or I'm not a huge fan of that movement. What that usually tells me is, that one makes me really tired, or I'm not that good at it, that's why I don't like it, but I'm really good at this one, and this one doesn't make me feel as tired, right? So take note of how you feel with certain movements. Like if you are someone you don't do really well with push-ups, okay, then you know you need to pace your push-ups a little bit if you see a bunch of push-ups, or you see anything where you have to push weight. Okay, if you're someone who you struggle with running, right, then you're going to want to pace out your running a little bit, okay, to make sure you're not burning out from the get-go. And then use every workout you have as something to build your toolbox with, right? Take note of when things are getting better. Take note of when things are getting easier, right? And number one thing, don't shy away from the movements that you feel make you the most tired, because those are the things you want to bring up the most. That's kind of the beauty of CrossFit. It shows you what you're not good at, what's lacking in your ability, right? CrossFit rarely tells you what you're good at. It usually does a lot of showing you what you're bad at. But the good news is every single thing that you could possibly be bad at, you can work on to make better, to improve your health and wellness and fitness, right? So use that as your parameter. And the last thing is just, how much time is this workout going to take? Okay? If you're someone who, like me, you do really well in short workouts, where it's short burst and you know it's only going to be 3 minutes, and that's your kind of workout, then when there's a 20-minute workout, you don't want to treat that like you would a 3-minute workout. You want to treat it like a 20-minute workout. So you almost spend that first 3 or 4 minutes at a pace where you can still talk and you can still breathe, because it's only going to get harder, right? Runners do really well with this because runners know what it's like to run 1 mile, 5 miles, 10 miles. And all those paces are different, which is what makes running such a valuable asset to know how to do, is run a bunch of different paces for running. Because it's easy to say, hey, you want to do this workout like you're running a 5K. Or, hey, this workout is like you're sprinting 400 meters, right? Think about how long it is. Unlike vice versa, if it's a 3-minute workout, don't treat it like it's a 20-minute workout. If it's a 3-minute workout, get the work done in 3 minutes. Like, push it fast, work hard, get the work done. Yeah, you're going to get way out of breath, but that's the point of that workout, right? I would say most people are they will generally go after a workout more like the 3-minute side, meaning even if it's a 12-minute workout, they'll treat it like it's 3. They'll go out way too fast, okay? Most workouts have rounds, so start with learning how to pace there. Think about how long it took you to do your first round and try to make your next round faster. Instead of, like most people do it, they'll start off their first rounds are fastest and then they'll get slower. So try to increase your pace each round, and that's a great way to learn how to pace a little bit better.
That's a great advice. There's multiple rounds. Start the first round off, but try to beat that time each round.
Right.
So you keep some in the tank. You're not going all out
Exactly.
at first. Okay. That's great advice. Great advice.
Yeah.
Now, the other good question we had. This is a good one. This is what I'm battling with myself. I think everybody's battling with this.
Everybody.
How should you attack the workouts if your only goal is to lose weight? Like you have no interest in competing. You don't see yourself ever doing the CrossFit Open, but you're coming to this to, be in the best shape you can be and just lose weight. How should you attack the workouts?
How do you think you should?
Sometimes I want to go heavy. I have to not do that.
Okay.
I won't get as many reps in.
All right.
I'm in that mindset. I just need to work as much as possible without stopping and get as much reps as possible without stopping. It's like sometimes if we're doing power cleans, usually that's a pretty easy movement for me. I feel like I can go way heavier than I do sometimes, but I'll get 1/3 of the reps in the workout. So that's one thing I battle with is like, should I go heavier or should I stay light and just knock out as much reps and kind of keep that heart rate up?
Yeah.
It's a tough fight between me and what I should do.
Yeah, that can be a tough one. The big thing is, the number one thing I'd say is if you have a coach, use the coach on that as much as possible and ask that coach, hey, what weight do you think I should do based on what I'm trying to accomplish here, right? Because if your goal is to lose weight, it's not necessarily that you should always be going lighter, because there are days where you want to lift heavy. Okay, that's why we do a lot of strength training. Okay, and I think that's something that's a big misconception. Like the whole cardio versus strength training, or the toning your muscles and things like that, et cetera, et cetera. There's a bunch of myths wrapped up into that of how the body works and stuff like that. The number, if I had to give you a list, I would say, okay, just doing cardio is not going to cut it for weight loss. All right? If you never lift weights, or the weights you use are way below like maximum weight for you. Like if and most people don't realize what their maximum is, but some people, they'll only use like a 10 or 15 pound dumbbell or kettlebell ever, always, right? And they only do cardio. Well, you're fighting an uphill battle with that because you're not challenging your body in ways that's going to help you burn more calories. You're just kind of burning the calories in the workout. It is what it is, and you're never going to outdo your nutrition like that. Not that you're ever going to outdo your nutrition with working out anyway, because nutrition is always going to be the number one thing with that. If you were to tell me, hey, I just strength train, I'd be like, okay, that's going to be better than just cardio for weight loss. Because if you're doing just strength training, think about what strength training actually is. People you know what high intensity interval training is?
Yes, HIIT training.
Yeah, HIIT training is a huge thing. They're like, yeah, you go in short bouts of intense exercise at like real high intensities. Okay. And it lasts 30 seconds, 40 seconds, and then you rest. Okay, if I took a bar and put it on my back with 60% of my back squat max, and I did 12 back squats, and it took me 40 seconds, what would you call that? High intensity interval training. Right? There's no special things when it comes to lifting weights and things like that. I mean, people will try to sell it as something else, but it's all is what it is. Okay, so like weight training is, in a way, high intensity interval training. So when you're contracting those muscles and using a lot more weight, you're being a little bit more efficient with your calorie burn, because a heavier weight requires more energy than a lighter weight to lift. Now, if you told me you're combining weight training, okay, at more than 60% of your max in whatever the movement is, and you're doing cardio, then I would tell you that you are optimizing your ability to lose weight. So what I would say with that question is, how do you approach a workout for fat loss? Make sure when it's time to go heavy, that you're appropriately going heavy. You're not avoiding it because you think you need to lose fat, all right? Because by avoiding going heavy when you need to go heavy, you're leaving a lot on the table in terms of losing fat and changing your body composition, building muscle, utilizing different stores of energy, things like that, utilizing the macronutrients you eat, all right? And then when it's time to go lighter and faster, like just to give you an example, on Monday we had dumbbell snatches, rowing, and sit-ups, right? Dumbbell snatches, you could go a little bit heavier, right? Because you had 20 reps at a time, but it was in an AMRAP format, and the other two movements were more cardio-based, right? Now, I think you even mentioned it. You're like, I think I could have gone a little heavier on the dumbbell.
For sure.
Right? You might have got 15, 20 less reps, but the more energy you would have used to do that slightly heavier weight, is given that your form was good, might have actually burned more calories in the end. Whereas today we had a workout that was double unders and rowing, so that's no weight. So it's like, okay, approach that workout with high intensity. You don't have to choose a weight. It's kind of done for you. So you get that heart rate up, and it's just a fast-paced go workout, right? So number one, use a coach when you can. Number two, when it's time to go heavy, go heavy. So treat your strength training serious, because that's going to help you a lot with fat loss, all right? It's going to be even more important than the cardio. And number three, just look at what the workout layout is, right? And decide, okay, am I going to get a little more out of going 5-10 pounds heavier as long as my form is good? The answer is usually yes. All right, so don't go so light that it becomes just, you know, I'm moving just to move. All right, I'm moving with a purpose now.
It's good advice.
Yeah.
It's good advice. I like that one. You got anything else to add before we wrap it up today?
No, I don't think I do, actually. I think that's it.
Today.
Yeah.
So we'll come back next week.
How long was this one?
We're looking at 28 minutes.
Oh, not bad.
28 minutes.
Okay, that's not bad. We'll cut it down to 16.
16?
Yeah, I feel like a sitcom length is good.
Okay. 16 minutes?
Yeah.
Per podcast?
Yeah.
Okay, that ain't bad.
Cast pod.
That ain't bad.